I'm so happy to be here. We're so excited. Okay, we're gonna have some fun tonight. Welcome to the Tension Tour. It's been a little while, I know. It's been a little while since my last kind of full-scale concert. And as I'm sure most of you know, it's my first time at Madison Square Garden.
I'm doing introductions because I'm famously bad at that. Damian, David, Damian, Tim, David, Tim, Damian, Tim, David, Tim. Is that done? Did I get every combo? Thank you.
Well done.
Lovely to have you both on the line. David, you've been on the show many times. You're a friend of the show. Damian's first time in the fortress of pop culture. So, David, I'm going to start with you. What's your advice for Damian as he enters the fortress of pop culture?
Oh, just be natural and be real and don't be afraid to give honest opinions that are sometimes opinions that people don't want to hear.
Sure.
That's
Sounds good.
right.
I appreciate the advice.
Good advice, and I'll be gentle. So, but listen to this, David. Damian went to the Brisbane show here in Australia.
Excellent.
And I don't know the in-between, but somehow he ended up at Madison Square Garden as well. Am I right, Damian? That's correct, right?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah,
That's
probably
How on
wonderful.
earth?
Did you go to the Friday show or the Saturday show?
The Friday show.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we saw her back to back. I saw her last Wednesday.
Okay. No, yeah. Well, the way the story sort of unfolds is when she first announced the Vegas residency, a friend of mine was like, yeah, let's go. And so when tickets went on sale, it was like 3 a.m. here in Australia. So we were getting up every night trying to get tickets, and they were just sold out within minutes.
Impossible.
Just couldn't get it. So we just thought, not meant to be. And then when she announced the global tour, we were like, okay, maybe we should try again. Which big city in the US do we want to go to? And we're like, well, it has to be New York. And then we actually got tickets. So it was a bit of a holy shit moment. We better now book flights and accommodation and book a trip. So yeah, we actually didn't expect to get tickets, and we did, which was amazing.
So, did you hear that, David? In Australia, we only come to the United States if it works around a Kylie schedule.
Pretty much. We think we were only there. I think we flew in on Monday of last week. And I've been to New York many times, but my partner, I surprised him. He didn't realize he was coming.
Really?
He just thought it was my friend Kath and I that were going. And yeah, so it was a surprise visit, and he didn't know, and he'd never been there before. So it was a jam-packed week, but it was all centered around the Kylie concert, which was just phenomenal. Like, seeing her in Brisbane was amazing, and I've seen her many, many times. Loved her since I was 13, so I'm showing my age there. But to see her sell out Madison Square Garden was just next level epic. It was amazing.
Right.
Golly, the things we do for Kylie, right? And Damian, I'm really curious. The Brisbane show versus Madison Square Garden. David gave you the advice to shoot honestly, shoot from the hip.
Yep.
Were they very different, and was one much more extravagant than the other? Was the vibe different? Help us understand.
Yeah, oh, look, the vibe was definitely different because I've only seen her in Australia before. And as much as, the stage can be spectacular, and like the Aphrodite, that tour with, the pools of water and all that was just so over the top, where this was really pared back. But one thing you notice about a Kylie concert in Australia, it's not so much about her outfits, it's about the outfits of everyone going to the concert. So, you're walking in and every gay man is, glammed up out the wazoo, and that happened in Brisbane. Where in New York, it wasn't like that. It wasn't about everyone else's outfits, and maybe because it was also bloody freezing. But yeah, it was definitely a different crowd. Like, there was, Brazilian people sitting beside us. There was a Scottish family that was sitting in front of us that had flown over, and the parents knew her from Neighbours, where the kids only really knew her from Padam. So it was a real cross section of people. But yeah, look, when the opening act happened with the lights, it just yeah, both arenas just erupted. It was incredible. I'd hate to if you were an epileptic and had because you would not be able to deal with those strobe lights at the start. Like it was such an opening of a show.
Straight to the back of the retina, I'd say.
Oh, it really did. It blew you through the back of the arena. It was so good, and then to see her in that big laser diamond, you just I'm getting goosebumps now. It was just so good.
It's amazing. And I love the way you say erupts, because that is exactly what happens at the beginning of his show. Now,
Yeah.
Damien, you might not know, but David, I've been on a secret conversion therapy with him for many years now, actually, trying to bring him over from the Madonna dark side to the brightness and the joy and the hope of
Come
Kylie Minogue.
on. I've been a fan of her since day one. I told you.
Listen to this defensiveness. Sorry, I got it wrong, did I? Go
I
ahead.
mean, yes, I'm a huge Madonna fan, obviously, and I'm more of a Madonna fan than a Kylie fan, but I've always loved Kylie. And after seeing her live for the first time, I love her even more. And it was my freshman dance, 1988. I heard the locomotion, and I'm like, who is this girl? And then I saw the video on MTV. I'm like, oh, she's pretty. I like her. So
Look at
since
that
day
hair.
one, since day one.
But your first time seeing her live, correct?
Right. Right.
Please take us through that, David. I'm honest, hand on heart, ever since, for those of you who haven't heard the podcast, I spoke to David when he bought his Kylie tickets. And sort of the conversation was about, what do you expect? What are you thinking this show might be like? Now I get to find out what it was like for a super pop fanatic like David in the arena with Kylie. Was it everything you thought it would be, or was it a very different experience?
It was everything no, I was so impressed and so blown out of the water. Uh I couldn't believe how great she was. And I've always been a harsh critic, Tim, so it's like,
Yes.
and
You
I'm
gave
not
you gave Madonna a C plus.
yeah,
Ooh.
for celebration, now I'll probably give it a C minus. But I wasn't a
In
big fan of that.
comparison, has Kylie raised the threshold? Has she?
Well, it's rare that I ever give an entertainer an A and she gets an A. It was that
Really?
amazing.
Oh,
And I'm not an ageist in any way, shape, or form, but she's gonna be 57 years old, so it's not like she's in her prime. But I tell you, the energy she had that night, she was in her prime.
I've said this for the longest time. You can watch Kylie shows on DVD or YouTube or whatever, but until you're in that arena, you won't understand what it is that she brings. Would you agree with that?
150%. And when we had our conversation back, I think it was in the fall or maybe like November, December, when the tickets, I don't know when they went on sale.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I took your advice. You told me on the last Kylie, when we talked about her on a Kylie, pre-tour podcast, you'd said to me, you're like, don't cheat, don't go online and look at her past shows. I want you to be, or don't look at, when she starts touring for the Tension tour, to don't get spoiled. And I
Yeah.
didn't. It was so hard for me not to, but that made it even better, not knowing this. I didn't even know this. I didn't go to Wikipedia and look at the set list or anything. So I
Wow.
was very proud of
You didn't
myself.
know how she was going to arrive on
No,
stage?
I knew nothing.
Damien,
So
this
I'm
is the
so
right way to do it, isn't it?
right,
That's
and I'm
Why?
so proud of
that's
myself that I did it that way, and it made the experience so much better.
that's you are showing such restraint. I am very
Yeah,
impressed.
yeah. I usually am not like that.
So tell us both. So, David, which show did you go to? Chicago, wasn't it?
I went to Chicago, and remember the original show. I wasn't going to go to Chicago, but this is my hometown, and my friends had tickets for the LA show, and that's what we talked about last time we discussed Kylie. And I said I have to go see her in my hometown. I have to. So I had a floor ticket and row 11. And if you see my post, I don't know if you've looked at any of my postings on Kylie, Tim,
No,
but
not yet.
she
Not
was
yet.
she was 6 inches away from me.
Get
She walked
out.
down the she
Wow.
walked down the aisle, and I could touch her face. It was incredible. And I got a little video snippet on my page of that. So
Oh God, I'm getting the goosebumps now. You got great seats. Well
great
done.
seats.
Well
Yeah,
done.
really. Yeah.
And Damien, tell us. Let's go into this Madison Square Garden. I've spoken to a few people who've been to that show now, and
Hmm.
they're all telling me that, like, practically the roof was almost lifted off, and that even though it wasn't spoken about, there was this understanding that this was one of the peaks of her entire career to finally arrive on that stage. Was
Yeah.
that the unwritten vibe in that room?
Oh, it was I would say it was the written vibe in New York. Like we went to a few different bars. Like we were staying in Chelsea, so we were quite close to Madison Square Garden, and we went to a few rooftop bars before the show. And every bar we went to was playing Kylie, and even one bar, like every second song was Kylie. And I'm like, I actually went up to the bartender. I'm like, "You're playing a lot of Kylie," and he just looked at me like stupidly, like, "She's playing next door. Of course, we're playing Kylie." Every bar we went into, it was just, for me, it was, and then to see the Empire State Building lit up green and gold for her, like the outside of Madison Square Garden was lit up green and gold. It was vindication that she has finally made it in the US. To sell out the Vegas residency and do 6 months there, it's been the hardest nut to crack for her for so long, and it's like the US just never really got her music. Like always had, obviously, the loyal fan base with her gay fans in the US. But it's like she's finally got it. And I remember reading an article recently, and BMG said it's now her biggest market, is North America. So for me, the feeling was vindication.
I know that this is not the mark of a career, but Kylie is an extremely rich person. But until that Vegas and then all of this tidal wave of the US kicked in, she ain't seen nothing before, not even during Fever. She would be making more now than she ever has in her career. And that's not just because of the talent and the shows and the music. We're now talking about, what do you call it? The viability of her marketing in the United States. She could sell anything above and beyond Madonna. No offense to Madonna. I love her very, very much. But Kylie's ability to sell a product because of the trust factor and the warmth is beyond. I want you both to respond to this. Feel free. Just have a quick listen to a gentleman that we had on the show before, and I'd love to get your feedback.
Well, honey, Madonna's performing in 20,000 capacity arenas when your girl's performing in somebody's local basement, where you would see, honey, I
Yeah.
know local bands from my high school that perform in capacities that are well above 1,000. It's
This is a choice. It's not that she can't sell out more than 1,000. This is a choice. Madam X was in small venues too.
No, hold on, Tim. If it's a choice, and it surely is, why would you choose to play in a shockingly small venue that is like a house? That's like a house band type of.
You have just exposed your ignorance of Kylie history right there. So I'm enjoying playing that during every conversation I've had. That's Deftones, who was criticizing Kylie, or mocking her actually, for playing at Vegas in a venue that held around 1,000 people. Any response now that we've conquered New York, either one of you?
I mean, Kylie's still global, and I think she's got just more than the gay fans. I saw every walk of life, and I saw old, young. I saw like people in their 20s, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So yeah, she's, you know what? That was a little test market thing. And with the success of Padam and both Tension albums, all the stars were aligned for her, and it was just the right time. And you know what? Everybody came because they knew, how often are we going to get to see her, at this peak of her career.
And Damian, I've got to say, Voltaire could never have predicted Padam. They had signed her up. That deal was done and dusted before Padam, before Tension. Can you believe, if you were the manager or the owner or whatever of Voltaire, you would be rubbing your hands with glee till they bled.
Oh, no wonder, because again, I read an article that said that, again, I don't know if it's the manager or the owner of Voltaire, but has given her an open invitation for life. Whenever she wants to come back and do another residency,
that.
she can. Because again,
Love
and
that.
I didn't know that they'd signed her before Padam, and you just think it's lightning in a bottle, for an artist to get maybe one big song. The Locomotion back in '87 for us in Australia, but then to get Can't Get You Out of My Head in 2001. It doesn't often strike twice, but three times, like that's just incredible. And I think what is so enduring, and what we love so much about her is her humility. And that, she will always, like, I don't know how many concerts I've been to, she'll ask for the house lights to be put on so she can see the crowd. And, she'll be like, does anyone need anything? Can I get anyone anything? There's just no ego there. And not knocking Madonna, and I've loved her since, I was about 13 as well. But, Madonna will make people wait an hour before coming out on stage. In Brisbane, Kylie came out 10 minutes early. Like, who comes out early? And I have to admit,
She's such a nerd.
I've fallen off the Madonna bandwagon ever since she bedazzled her teeth. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't get past
Oh God, that was a long time ago.
I can't get past that. Like, what are the jewels on the teeth?
Well, David, can I, to the broader point Damian's making about the fact that when some celebrities, including Madonna, but we're not having a go at her, come out on the stage, they're like, bitch, you're lucky to be seeing me here, with that American. They don't literally say it, but that's the vibe. Did you get a very different vibe from Kylie live? Did she appreciate you being there as much as you appreciated her being on the stage?
It was almost like a tearjerker of a movie in a way. I don't want to get like a Hallmark card or cheesy here, but it was her energy and what she was exuding to us as an audience was so beautiful. And she cried twice.
Really?
And she even apologized to us. I thought she was here in 11, but for the Aphrodite tour, I guess she never came. She said the last time she was in Chicago was '09. I'm like, that's 16 years, and she was so, again, full of integrity and love for her audience, and no diva like personality there. She was just wholesome and pure and fun, and she gave 120%. It was like I was dumbfounded. I was just blown away. And like Damien said, her humility is just such a beautiful thing. And no politics, none of that bullshit. It was just Kylie, her music, the fans and their energy, and bringing the roof of the arena down. It was incredible.
Hey, Time to Talk family, this is Tim Power, host of the podcast where amateurs talk about icons. To keep our show commercial free, we rely on your support. Many of you have chucked in just a couple of bucks, or sometimes more, which lets Time to Talk Australia pay its way. There's no obligation, of course. Keep listening to us no matter what. Liking and sharing our content is also a huge help. But if you do hear something that you like and you think you can support the show by throwing in a couple of bucks, head to patreon.com/Time to Talk Australia. The link is in the description of this podcast.
Hi Tim and Time to Talk listeners, this is Danny from Melbourne, and I'd just like to say your latest podcast made me very angry.
And as always, we want your voice memos. If you've heard something that you agree with, or possibly you're outraged, and let's be fair, many of you listen simply to be outraged, then take out your phone and record a voice memo. Cap it at around the 2-minute mark and then send it to me. I listen to all the voice memos that come through, and occasionally we include them in the show. Our email is timetotalkaustralia@outlook.com. Thanks for sharing, rating, contributing and donating to this very little podcast from Down Under. I genuinely love our little Time to Talk family because lovers of pop are an endangered species. So why don't we go extinct together?
So that's all I have to say. Get off the airwaves, you're such an amateur.
I heard Damian at Madison Square Garden. She dropped to her knees with the rush of the standing ovations that were coming towards her. Is that right?
Yeah, no, she was definitely very overwhelmed. And even for, someone like her who's, I remember years ago, I think, and I was a bit worried that the set list would actually be different from Australia, because you've got to think in the US from about 1990 to probably spinning around 2000. So that decade, she had no presence in the US, which was such a shame because, like, the Rhythm of Love album, 4 bangers, probably the biggest singles, in 1990, there was no presence. So I was worried that she wouldn't play them over there. But she stuck to her playlist. It was her music. And even, like I said before, the Aphrodite, the whole set of the stage with the pools and, the trapeze artists and all that, like there was none of that. It was very pared back. And I have seen some reviews saying it was a bit too simple. But to me, it was just, she had nothing left to prove. It was about her and her music and her being an entertainer. She didn't need big set pieces and, a million dancers and all that sort of stuff. It was just her. And that's all she had to bring, and she brought it.
Such a testament to her, and I'm hearing it from David really strongly as seeing her for the first time. Such a testament to her that she doesn't need all of that behind her. It's great when she is really theatrical when she's live, but this show was less theatrical and more about her true connection with the audience. And boy, did she have it! Certainly at the show I was at. It's such a testament to what I call star quality. Like there's something, I bet you couldn't take your eyes off her, David. Like she captivates, doesn't she? You do not take your eyes off her for the entire hour and a half.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it was like, it's so funny because I wanted to, because I was pretty darn close, but I would still look at the monitor because the monitors, you just see her like on that giant screen and you're like, wow, she's here in America, and people, it's like a celebration of her 37-year career, 38-year career. It's so, yeah, yeah, she looked gorgeous. Her makeup, her costumes. Okay, so I do have one critique. I have one little critique.
Of
I
course, go
didn't,
for it.
yeah, I didn't, I was a little disappointed with the dancers' costumes. I think they looked a little elementary, a little amateurish, but that was my only complaint. And if that's my only complaint for the entire show, um, I thought they
I've
could
heard
have
that.
just,
I've heard that from lots of people. That almost, if you're going to be that simplified, then. But I've heard quite a few people say that the dances seemed almost superfluous to requirements. That what's the point? It's all
yeah,
about
her,
Kylie
her
in this show.
dancers were choreographed really well. I mean, whoever um choreographed the show, the head dancer or whatever, I thought the dancing was all great. I wasn't, some of the costumes I'm like, look a little amateur. Come on, Kylie, you got some money there. Could up that a little bit.
I have
Yeah,
to
no,
admit, there is
go
one
ahead.
part I agree. It was where the dancers came out, and it looked like,
Teletubbies.
yes,
So weird.
that I didn't understand. That was just odd. I'm
That was
like,
bizarre.
yeah, I was just like, yeah, someone was smoking a little something when they thought that was going to work.
Quite possibly. Quite
Yeah.
possibly. It's a silly question to ask, but I have to because this has been the fundamental question before she started the US leg of the tour. How will the American audiences receive this, well, a Kylie show in general? Because she does do things quite differently to the standard pop star, or not the standard pop star, to other pop stars. And silly question, right? Because it sounds like it went down beautifully. Would you both agree?
hmm Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
think I think across the country, she's gonna, and it's weird because I've heard snippets that when I heard it's like a kindergarten show, I was like, oh, and I thought I heard that from maybe one of your people, or I don't know where I saw it, but I'm like, oh,
oh, look,
But
I would describe that concert, and did the same after Brisbane, the same after New York. It was 2 hours of pure joy.
mm-hmm,
Like it's the
completely,
only way to sum it up. Of just pure joy. Like every song, and even in Brisbane, my partner, he's a tradie. He doesn't dance. I actually think he doesn't know how to dance. We got him up on his feet in New York, and he was shuffling around, but and gave it his best shot. But even he was trying to dance. It was just every song, like bang after bang after bang. Even to hear Time Bomb, one of the, amazing song, like, and she rarely does that in a live show. Like it was just, like I said, it just erupted.
and Time Bomb was so well placed. I know I'm pushing you on this, Damien, but Brisbane Entertainment Centre versus Madison Square Garden. I'm assuming Madison Square Garden is much a larger venue. Like, was the that vibration, that bass, was it
Mm.
the same, or did Madison Square Garden really just dwarf Brisbane?
Oh, look, I think the Brisbane Entertainment Centre, well, it's 45 years old, so it's a bit daggy now. It definitely needs to be redone. But once you're inside, it is actually still quite an impressive venue, and it seats about 15,000. So it was still, yeah, like the production quality, everything felt just as good. it was, like I said, it was just, you're at Madison Square Garden, like, as it says on the outside of the building, the world's most famous arena. And she didn't just sell it out once; she sold it out twice. It was iconic and special, and yeah, it's something I'll remember for a long time.
I haven't asked either one of you about the show itself, really. We've had all this chatter, but like, what were the highlights for you, David? Your first Kylie show, you were brilliant, and huge applause to you for not doing the spoilers. That would have been so bloody hard.
I
I only had to do
know.
it for a week. You had to
I
do it
agree.
for more than a month. So, what were the highlights of this show for you?
For me, the high, the number one highlight was the set list. I mean, she had what, like over 30 songs. Her set list was impeccable. It was so incredible. I wanted to hear "Breathe," if that's okay.
Uh,
Um, it was. I think she's done "Breathe." Like, I think she's one of those artists that switches up songs in different cities, or like a fan request,
yep,
kind of thing. But I
yep,
love the set list. The highlights for me, like "Better the Devil You Know," like brought me back and spinning around, and of course, "Confide in Me" that was very Madonna esque with the video
yes,
interlude.
yes. In fact,
Beautifully
it could
done in her
almost be
vocals.
Madonna in that video, couldn't it?
It was very Madonna esque, and I'm sure she kind
And
of
Rebel
was
Heart,
like,
sorry, specifically, if you don't mind me saying. It reminded me of the
no,
visuals for the
yeah.
backdrop of Rebel Heart. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that was incredible. And then she closed with my favorite song. I mean, "Love at First Sight" is my favorite Kylie song. So that was pretty amazing. Amazing.
I giggle, Damien, because I never want to hear that song again for the rest of my life.
Oh,
She never
really?
stops. I love it. I love Love at First Sight, but if she plays it one more time, it's like kids. It's got to go. It's
Uh,
the end. No more.
I was just
Please.
about to say, if she had done kids again, it's like let it go.
Yeah, I've never been too big of a fan. That's an okay song. It's
Yeah.
all right.
I have to agree with David, the set list, and just to have it span every decade of her career. Like, my favorite song still to this day, and I listen to it at least once a day, is "What Do I Have to Do?"
Yes.
Like, to me, that is absolute pop perfection from Stockacre Waterman. So that she did that, but then the way she was interweaving things with, like, to go from the newer song "Last Night I Dreamt I Fell in Love," and then the next song was "Better the Devil You Know," like back to 1990. Um,
Brave, right? Pretty
but
brave.
but to also embrace the locomotion, there was a long time she wouldn't do that
Yeah.
song. She was
Yeah.
embarrassed.
She had to, because I don't mean to interrupt you, Damien, but that was
You're
a
right.
huge hit in the United
Mm.
States. She had to do it. It was a
It
top five
was
hit
what
here.
I was going to say. It was number three. It's still her highest charting single ever over there.
Hmm. Hmm.
What I really like and agree, "Confide in Me," like that was just nearly an out of body experience. Her
Yeah, it
vocals
was.
on that.
Oh, and also, I don't mean to interrupt you again, but "Say Something," the acoustic version
Hmm.
was just beautiful. It was
Yeah,
beautifully done. Beautifully done.
I really liked the video intro for "Tension" as well.
Love that.
The blue
Love it.
screen with all the Kylies, walking.
Hmm. Hmm.
That I thought was very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
Her loyalty to the US fans is so underestimated and never talked about. There was no reason that Kylie has needed to do all the things she's done for the US fans over the years, because it was never her market, so to speak, but she's never forgotten them. She gives them treats. She gives, even when it's not economically viable, she'll bring versions of her shows over there. She's very loyal to her American fans. So help me understand, what were the conversations she might have had during your shows with the audience that turned up?
I think it's also like being Australian, and like, especially early on in her career, it was the tall poppy syndrome.
Yeah.
And she obviously rose to fame so quickly, and then the Australians, we love to just cut people down. Where I think, like, for me, the perspective is that she was not going to let America beat her, and it was the toughest one to crack, and she was going to just keep going and keep going and keep going until she got there, and she did it. She even referenced, that it was a pinch yourself moment to actually sing and be on that stage at Madison Square Garden. And I actually walked past the Hammerstein Ballroom, where she performed, I think, the last time in New York, which you wouldn't even know this venue was there. Like, it was just that we saw it and we're like, oh, that's where she performed last time. It
Is it
was,
very small? Is it?
well, we only saw it from the outside, but it's like nothing impressive at all. It sort of nearly could be a warehouse. So to go from that to then this stage, like I said, it must have been a pinch yourself moment for her. And even to, obviously Danny was there on the Saturday night, to bring her sister over and just, relish in that moment. Like, good on her.
Yeah, I did notice Danny was at and absolutely having a ball in the audience of the second show at Madison Square Garden. And I think that is absolutely a testament to within the family, within that
Hmm.
very tight knit family, they know that this was a huge moment for
It was
Kylie.
special.
Yeah.
It was really special, and like, good on her for bringing her sister over, just to enjoy it with her. Like, I think the only way that could have just gone next level is if she was actually up on stage with her.
Now, I've heard people talking about that and debating that. Should she have brought Danny on stage? First of all, I think the American audience wouldn't know Danny
No,
from a bar of soap, let's be
no.
honest.
I know like one song of hers.
Do you? What do you know? What is it?
I loved the music video. It's the song where in the music video it's a girls' party and they're all dancing and then the camera like breaks and it goes backwards and they're like, "Is it You Won't
Okay.
Forget About Me or something?" I don't
You
remember.
won't forget about me.
Yeah,
Na,
it's
na,
that
na, na,
it's that
na.
song. Yeah,
I
Na,
was
yeah.
going to
na,
say,
na,
if it
na,
was the
na.
Blue Jeans, that was the Get Into You
Yes, I get them
complete.
No,
mixed
You Won't
up
Forget
because they're
About Me
both.
is the only one I really know because I remember they played that at the clubs all the time. But other than
She
that,
has some great music.
that's what I hear. I've never really given her a chance.
Well, start with Neon Lights and work from there. It's a great album.
Right.
Great
Great
album.
album.
Yeah, yeah. So, and David, she was talking to the audience in Chicago.
She didn't really need. I think she probably talked a little more in New York than Chicago. But the two times she cried, she said she's like, I, I feel so loved, and
Oh,
what you're
wow.
giving me now just feels so good, and I can't believe I'm here. And she's like, it's so great to be in America. She was just so again like the humility. I bring that word up again, humility, and just
Mm,
and her she was just so lovely. Her energy, she was like it was like a beam of light. Like she didn't even need a stage light on her because she was shining that brightly. And everybody was just I the cheering and the thunderous applause, and she had to stop a couple times because it's like she and the encore. So she didn't. I think she probably conversed a little more in the New York show, but we didn't need her to converse. It was like she gave her all and then some, every single song.
it's pretty
It is.
impressive stage presence for someone who's 5'2".
Yeah, she looks a lot taller on stage.
It has been so special listening to you both. And David, listening, I remember one time I reviewed Disco when it first came out, and it was during COVID. We're all in lockdown. And
Hmm.
you sent me a message, I think, and said, Tim, you sounded like out of body during that particular podcast with excitement.
Yeah,
And
you
listening
were
to you
excited.
now,
Yeah,
listening to you now, though, you've got the same vibe. She has struck you with her celebrity
yeah,
wand.
yeah. I'm still in a Kylie glow right now. I'm very proud of her, and I just she's reveling in this, and she deserves all the accolades because
Yeah.
she again she put her heart and soul, and it just makes me feel good as a fan that she gave every beat of her heart to us, and that's as a fan that feels incredible. It really does.
Mm,
Money worth spent.
The word deserving comes up again and again and again. She's worked really hard. She's been very loyal, and she's given back as much as she's taken from the world of celebrity. So that's what people are giving her when they go to that arena. They know that. They know it when they're in that arena. Hey, Damian, congratulations traveling across the globe to go and see her in New York. That's dedication, my friend.
absolutely. Like, there's not many artists that I would do that for, and to do two big flights in the space of 9 days. But
Yes.
yeah, like I said, I will remember this for a long time. And even back to your disco comment, I remember doing a Facebook post during COVID, and it was the picture of the album cover, and I said something along the lines of, Kylie's here to save us, from this terrible pandemic with disco. And it was really great to actually see that little mini set of, Real Groove, Magic, Supernova, because she never got to tour with that album. She did the Infinite Disco, which I went along to and danced in my lounge room like a crazy woman. But it was really good that, she did that as well and finally got to showcase that. That was a true highlight as well.
It has been so lovely. In the middle of a work day, probably has something to do with it because I've just taken myself offline for an hour from work to talk to you both. But honestly, to hear how much love you've given to Kylie and felt back from her, what a pleasure. You've filled my day, both of you. Thanks, Damian. Thanks, David.
Thank you so much.
You're
This was
welcome. Thank
awesome.
you. It was a pleasure.